What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. Test 1 2 1 2 test. Hey y'all, what is up? Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Black News. Thanks again for tuning in. Happy whatever day it is you are listening to this podcast. Quick heads up, I may or may not be out next week. I don't know, man. Hey, I'm traveling this coming weekend and I get back during the week. So depending on how travel go, if I got time to get back, throw up a podcast, I'll jury's out. I will not know until real time. I'm going to try my best, but in case I do not get to do that, I'm giving y'all a heads up. If y'all don't hear from me next week, it's because I was out. Okay. Thank you. Pray for my safe travels. Pray for me. Keep you lifted. Let's get into this week's episode because it's one particular thing that I've been wanting to talk about because I find it really fascinating and I'm liking what I'm seeing. A lot of people don't like it. This has been getting a lot of backlash in addition to a lot of support. This is specifically around the NAACP's, the NAACP's call to boycott schools in the South, specifically schools in the states that are playing them that funny business when it comes to our voting rights. They are calling on Black athletes, families, alumni, etc., to withhold athletic and financial support from public universities in southern states attacking Black voting rights. I'm going to pause there. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this because I speak about this often on Black News. We always talk about this. It ain't no one size fit all to this thing. Everybody didn't boycott the bus. Some of y'all aunties, uncles, and grannies in them was on the bus. Don't mind in there. I don't know what they was doing. They could have been on them buses. People was sitting on them lunch counters. Everybody didn't like it. Everybody didn't agree with marching on Washington. Everybody wasn't down in the National Mall. Okay, they wasn't freedom riding. Everybody wasn't doing that. This was dangerous. People were putting their lives on the line. And I give those specific examples because this wasn't no 1 year, one time deal. We gonna do this, get in and get out, get what we want. No, baby. This was a decades long effort starting right after Reconstruction all the way in through Jim Crow up into the 1960s, where different groups of Black people were doing different things, attacking different institutions, focused on different areas in different cities in different states that chipped away and chipped away and chipped away at what needed to be chipped away at to get us some progress. Okay. While that was happening, Thurgood and them was tearing their ass up in court. Okay, you had all of these things happening. Thurgood and them NAACP, them lawyers was down there tearing they asses up. All of this has to happen at the same time. So when I saw this, I immediately said, yeah, I'm liking this. This is what I like. Not to say all of these things are connected and all of these things are aligned. However, if you look at what we just did with Target, if this has even a small amount of success, we follow up with something else. Then another thing. Hey, maybe we gonna get somewhere. Okay. So let me start there first. And I probably already said first, but I'm gonna say it again. I like this for another reason because we need to reopen our history books. A lot of people, when they was chiming in, you can tell people either forgot, don't know, didn't research, weren't educated on, or just don't care what was actually taking place during the full span of civil rights movement as it relates to what was going on during Jim Crow, specifically protests and movements. Some people were saying this is unfair to challenge our children to do. This is unfair. This expectation that we are putting on them, they are too young to know any better. This is something that adults need to take on. Kids are not in a position to be able to be doing this. This is selfish for us to call them to do this, to action. Let me remind y'all, it was teenagers who was protesting, sitting at them lunch counters. These were high school and college aged kids, teenagers, young adults. It was teenagers getting locked up for protesting, sitting on them counters, boycotting freedom ride. It was kids on them buses. People were dying. Y'all know they was blowing shit up back in the day. These were teenagers who were saying, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like this. Let me lock arms with my peers and march for what it is that we need. Let me be an example for Black people across this country and across the globe, in the face of oppression. John Lewis he was a teenager when he was getting beat over the head for your rights. These were teenagers. Now, yes, there were adults, right? Don't get it twisted. There were adults who were major parts of the movement. But hell, Martin Luther King Jr., while he was adult, he wasn't that old. So I really want us to step back for a beat and really sit in the history of what took place, the bravery that it took, and also not to disrespect our young people, to think that they are not smart enough, wise enough, or brave enough, or courageous enough to take a stand for what they may believe is right. Also, people younger, you ain't got no fear, man. I ain't had no fear when I was younger, man. I would do anything. Child, what? We out here. So I reject that pushback from some of the adults, right? A lot of people were throwing out that it's NIL money that they're going to be losing. Now, I'm going to read the full breakdown from the NAACP, but I want to start with this first. People were saying this is going to affect the livelihood and generational wealth of Black people, as it relates to specifically football players, because y'all know now with that NIL money, kids can actually make income off their name and likeness, and be able to provide for their families and save up in ways that they weren't before. Right? People were saying, "Hey, it's going to be NIL money," to the point where people were saying, well, one, somebody brought this point up, and I was like, oh, that's a good point. They were saying, while historically the Black athlete was often pulled from underserved communities, and oftentimes was that one person within a family, the community, that made it out and had to provide for everybody. While that still can't be the case, they said and pointed out, with the cost of sports nowadays, and with the level of access and funds you have to have in order to help your child rise through the ranks of, AAU, high school, collegiate, etc., to get to the pros, especially if you're talking about specific sports, some of them families ain't as underserved as they used to be. Yes, there still are some, but they were saying, it's some of the families that may not necessarily be as strapped for cash as y'all think. So for a few families, they likely could be in a position to be able to pull something like this off because they ain't losing nothing. There's also the argument that if you are an athlete that's good enough to be recruited at like a Power Five school, SEC, and the big football, specifically powerhouse schools, then it's likely that you have other offers as well. You could take your ass to a Big Ten school, or you take your butt down to an HBCU. Because if you had offers over there, you probably got more. Okay? Because again, some people were pushing back, saying, you want people to turn out a once in a lifetime opportunity. Why would they do that? Okay. if they have other opportunities, they can take one of those. Then you had people who were upset to say HBCUs aren't a good pathway for this. They lack funding. They don't have the resources and the facilities to be able to keep up with this type of demand, so on and so on. If they go to HBCUs, they won't have as much television time. They won't get that much exposure. They won't be drafted to the NFL and their opportunities can be gone. I can see how people would assume that. But also, you got to follow the money. And I'm just speaking the ideas that I've seen. I'm not saying these are the end all, be all. I'm just throwing out what has been discussed. If your child has an offer for, top 5 school, it is likely that they're highly recruited, like I just mentioned. If that kid says, you know what, I'm going to Hampton. I'm going to play football at Hampton University, and they're good enough to be able to be recruited at the top schools, it's now likely that a lot of eyes as it relates to sponsors, advertisement, etc., even that college's athletic program going to be going out to market, publicizing that we got this person on our team. Guess what that's going to do? Drive more ticket sales to the game, get more publicity, get more news coverage. You're going to have more conversation focused on and watching what that person does in that program. That leads to bigger contracts, television deals, more spending, boosters, all of that. So while the facilities and things may not be up to par now, guess what could happen? Also, let's look at Travis Hunter. While he was drafted, while he wrapped up his career at Colorado, guess where he had all the eyes looking at him originally? Jackson State. If Travis Hunter would have stayed and finished at Jackson State, guess what? Jackson State would have had somebody going to the NFL from their football program. There are other people within HBCUs that have and will be and could have gotten drafted. If Shador would have stayed at Jackson State, and if the NFL wouldn't allegedly colluded and did what they did to him, he would have got drafted from Jackson State. There have been a number of football players from HBCUs that have gotten drafted to the NFL, and Travis Hunter would have been a top 10, top 20 draft pick if he would have stayed. So that argument of they're not gonna get any eyeballs on the program, they won't. I just want us, while we having these conversations, to really explore all of our options and keep our minds open to possibility. Because what to me this sounds like is we're not calling or expecting everybody to do it. But if there's a clear line drawn in the sand to say your state, your programs will not be allowed to financially benefit off the backs of our young people, considering you have no regard for our rights within this country and then within this state, and you have no concern for our well-being, we will take our talent and our athletic ability elsewhere. If you can't look out for us, we can't profit for you. To me, that's simple. Baby, this ain't slavery. Like you ain't got to be working for people who hate your guts. Like you don't have to work for people who hate your guts. That's not a foreign concept. Hey, you hate my guts? Great. Not gonna go there. To me, it sounds simple. So let me read the website that they put together, the page on the NAACP's site, because it outlines a lot of this. Okay, so I'm going to review that, and then we're gonna wrap up with some final thoughts. Okay, the website naacp.org/campaign/out-bounds. The campaign is called Out of Bounds. We're calling for Black athletes, family, alumni, and fans to withhold athletic and financial support from public universities in southern states attacking Black voting rights. No representation, no recruitment, no revenue. Across the South, Black athletes have helped build some of the most profitable college athletic programs in America, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in annual revenue. At the same time, several Southern state governments are moving to limit, reduce, weaken, or erase Black voting representation by creating new unconstitutional voting districts. You can't have one without the other. Profiting off of Black athletes while suppressing their vote is out of bounds. Take the pledge. Athletes. I will not allow my talent, labor, name, image, likeness, family, or community pride to be used to enrich institutions and states that are working to silence Black voters. There is a whole page where you can pledge and select what you pledge to. Some of those are: I pledge to delay commitments to targeted programs, ask coaches and athletic directors where they stand on voting rights and fair representation, request public commitments from universities opposing racial vote dilution, visit and consider HBCUs, use NIL platforms to elevate voting rights, fair maps, and HBCU investment, encourage peers not to let their athletic value be separated from their community's political power, and then it's asked if the NAACP can contact you. Hey, again, because this pledge, it gives you the option to select what it is you opting into. Then alumni and fans, because it's not just calling on the athletes, okay? It's calling on everyone to participate. It says, I pledge to advocate with my dollars and withhold economic support from the teams at my favorite university until fair maps are restored. Side note, if y'all hear the noise in the background, child, is a dog. You know the dog be barking, honey. Oof. This one, it asks you to pledge to, for alumni and fans, not buy tickets to football or basketball games at targeted institutions, not purchase merchandise, jerseys, or licensed apparel, not donate to athletic departments, booster clubs, or NIL collectives connected to targeted programs, not travel for bowl games, rivalry games, tournaments, or homecoming adjacent athletic weekends hosted by targeted institutions. Redirect that spending to HBCUs, HBCU athletics, HBCU bands, HBCU student scholarships, and HBCU alumni foundations. Hey, I like this because it is not expecting, from what I gather, everybody to do it and everybody do the same thing. It's asking you what you willing to put in, what you willing to chip, how much skin you got in the game. Okay, I gave some stats. 20% of Division I athletes who identify as Black, an 8% increase over the previous decade, reported by NAACP in February 2025. Then, Black athletes drive college sports. Universities can't actively recruit Black athletes without also advocating for their civil rights. We're calling on Black athletes, families, alumni, and fans to withhold athletic and financial support from public universities in southern states attacking Black voting rights until these states adopt state voting rights acts, withdraw or repeal maps that dilute Black voting power, restore congressional and or judicial districts that reflect the state's Black population and voting strength, commit to transparent community-centered redistricting processes, protect districts where Black voters have the opportunity to elect candidates of choice, stop using state power to weaken Black representation while public institutions profit from Black talent. I'm going to read that last one again. Stop using state power to weaken Black representation while public institution profit from Black talent. It also gave a list of schools within these states. These are the specific states in the South that are experiencing these challenges. That's Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas. For those who were saying, as I discussed a little while ago, what about they can't go anywhere? If they don't go, they won't go to college. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 states out of the 50. Okay. You can't go somewhere within the 42 other states. You can't go down to Oregon and be a duck. Take your butt over to UCLA. Okay. You can't carry your butt over down to Southern or FAMU. Michigan State is right up yonder. Okay. Ohio State and them is right there. I think I'm just not understanding. Okay. So they have a list of those schools, right? And they gave an alternative. See, y'all got to look at the website. It says Alabama, public flagship universities, University of Alabama, Auburn University. Then it has HBCUs to consider, Alabama A&M, Alabama State. It did the same for those other states. University of Florida, Florida State, alternative, FAMU, Georgia, University of Georgia. They listed Fort Valley University, Savannah State, Albany State. Listen, this is very detailed, okay? And again, I like that they put this so people can see it laid out in front of them what the alternative could be. Not to say that has to be the end all be all, but they spelled it out for you. They provided a syllabus. Is fighting voter suppression? Is the college athletics toolkit, redistricting 101, redistricting power and our vote? And again, I appreciate this because I kept hearing how people don't have no information. They don't know what to do. They talking about how the NAACP ain't doing nothing and they ain't been NAACP ain't been nothing since. Beep, 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 beep. Well, they put something together. That was also a discussion that people kept having on the heels of the W.E.B. Du Bois documentary that aired on PBS this past week. Highly recommend. Please watch it. It is very good. One thing about PBS, they gonna give you some good documentaries. Okay, they tried to shut them down. They tried to take PBS out. They tried to defund PBS. Guess what PBS said? Oh, okay, another one. Watch that Thurgood Marshall PBS documentary while you at it. It's on YouTube. But people were highlighting this because W.E.B. Du Bois was a part of NAACP for many years. He also at one point was the head of the Crises, which was their magazine that was working to distribute information, content um, to the Black population across the country. Shout out to the Pullman porters who were on the ground helping to transport those magazines and those other newspapers, those other Black newspapers, to people all across this country. But I'm glad, again, back to the point, and I'm glad they put this together because I'm sick of people talking about what everybody else doing. What you gonna be doing? I posted this online, and it's just I'm not reading it verbatim. I just giving the essence of what I said. I said something like, people don't want to stop shopping at department stores. People don't want to quit buying from certain platforms online. You ask them to not send their kids to a school that um, is discriminating against them. Hell, y'all had y'all kids playing for the Klan if they had enough money. So if you ain't willing to do all that, what are you willing to do? In 2026, let's all ask ourselves, what am I willing to do? If I don't want to do this thing, you got people still bragging, I be shopping at Target. Okay. What are you willing to do at this moment in time? What am I willing to do? I think about it on the daily. Black News listeners, I know y'all think about it on the daily, but now is the time. What are you willing to do? Go to naacp.org/campaign/out-bounds for more information on what we discussed. And let me know your thoughts about all of it. Is this something you interested in? Is this something you were expecting? Do you like where this is going, or do you have a better plan or alternative? Okay. Hit me up. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. Last week I was on here talking about Black art and things and how I just brought this up in passing, how I missed talking about sinners and how it gave all of us, well, I'll say all because some people don't really care, but it gave some of us just a lot of motivation and inspiration around, Black art and content and movies and writing and folklore and Black history and things that we didn't know and ancestry and all of these things. And I was like, man, I really miss that child. Maybe a day after I said that, I see on social media that they gonna have a Center's house at Universal Studios for Halloween Horror Nights. Child, I'm in the building. I don't even like stuff like that. Yo, I don't be going to that. But now when we going to that, I live. I'ma say I can get to Universal Studios probably in 12 minutes. Like, and I probably maybe I'm gonna give you 15. Okay, I can get to Universal Studios. It's about 15 from my apartment. Guess what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I have to go and support. Okay. Now I don't know. Knowing Ryan Coogler and them and proximity them, I'm willing to bet they're getting their money. Okay. They got to be getting their money. And I got to support Black folk. Now Universal Studios ain't Black, and this ain't about them. However, I am excited to see this brand and this content continue to grow and expand, because who could have ever imagined this, right? You write a movie, you're inspired by your uncle who is from the Jim Crow South, fled the South and moved to Oakland, started a life family with some of his other relatives, put down roots. Him and our family member, they had kids, whatever. One becomes a very successful and talented movie director. That uncle goes on to be with him. He becomes an ancestor. He writes a movie because he misses his uncle. He wants to dedicate something to him and his family. Even name some of the characters after family members. Just trying to, do what his spirit led him to do. And then all of a sudden, that movie blows up, becomes award winning. You win an Academy Award for it. Your friends win. Everybody nominated. You put people on. People dressing up in cosplay for Halloween as the characters that you created. People want a sequel. The music was jamming. And then now they're like, hey, let's have it at Universal Studios too. That is incredible and crazy at the same time. This also, and listen, mark my words, because depending on how this do and how people keep talking about it, hey, if there becomes a Sinner's Ride, I would not be surprised. If this movie keeps enduring like it is, y'all know they throw up a ride at Universal Studios in a minute, or even at least put it on the lot. I know it wasn't shot on the lot, but child, I wouldn't be surprised if they put the damn Juke joint in that studio tour, and you be riding them damn trolleys and trams. Child, I know my niece came out to visit. I was knocked out on that little tram. Okay, Auntie was tired. I missed half the studio tour. Okay, I saw Jaws and them, and then passed out, snoring mouth open. But I am excited to come. One of my good friends, he said he used to work. He was a tour guide at Universal many, many, many years ago when he first moved out to LA. He was like, I don't be doing scary stuff. I was like, well, you gotta get your coin together because we going. He was like, oh no, it's really scary. And I said, it ain't gonna be scary. It's just gonna be a bunch of SAG-AFTRA members dressed up as Michael B. Jordan making funny faces at us. Cause I went to like another hayride type of thing out here, and it wasn't nothing but people. It wasn't nothing but actors working the gig. I wasn't scared at all. I knew you was gonna have a fake chainsaw. He said, "No, Cornelia, this is actual. They have the budget to make this a terrifying experience. This is going to be really scary." I said, "Oh shit, you trying to tell me that Remick gonna really jump out and bite me on the neck?" I'm in the building. Hey. I'm in the building. If they gonna be singing and dancing, somebody take me. If I'm gonna be in there, I better be in there with Sammy and them. Where Pearline at? Where my girl Pearline? Okay, justice for Pearline. So I'm in the building. I'm excited, and I cannot wait to Go. Tickets already expensive in the mug. Y'all know them tickets be pricier than the mug. But I'm gonna be in the building. Also, since we're talking about black art, I just want to quickly highlight, and I'm gonna be honest, I have not seen this movie yet, but I will. I Love Boosters, that is out, directed by Boots Riley, starring Keke Palmer, Taylor Page, and a few other people. Lakeith Stanfield, he is in there too. I will be going to see it. Probably, I'm gonna be out traveling this weekend. I'm gonna try to see it whenever I can. I didn't get a chance to. I was just so busy, but I am in the spirit of supporting Black creatives. Y'all know we've been talking about how people been saying, we tired of seeing the same old movie. All they do is make slave movies. They ain't made no slave movies. And when something new is created and produced and put out, we need to support it. Okay? Red Tails. Y'all know I told what they did with Red Tails. We just go out, hey, whenever somebody come out, we gotta watch. Otherwise, ain't gonna be no black stuff. Even though they don't be wanting to make no black stuff anyway. Okay, we just gonna watch. But if you have seen it, please let me know your thoughts about it. Okay. Not to say that's gonna sway my opinion. Cause I'm going anyway. Cause some of y'all don't really be liking y'all movie advice. Some of y'all don't really be trusting. But let me know if you saw what you thought about it, because I am going to see it within the next week or so. Hopefully before they take it out of theaters. But let me know your thoughts about that. Or if you are excited to go see Sinners at Universal Studios, the specific house that will be a Juke joint based on what they saying. Let me know. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about the NAACP's call to boycott colleges in the South that are in states that are disenfranchising Black voters. And this is specifically a call out to Black athletes, families, fans, and alumni. We also talked about Sinners coming to Universal Studios for Horror Nights, and I Love Boosters, which is a movie directed by Boots Riley that is in theaters right now. Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.